Good evening, everybody, and it is the Wild Medicine Duo here. Hope you're all well on this beautiful sunny night. We're here to talk. We're a bit late this month, but I'm sure you understand the calendar and times all taking on different meaning, and better late than never. So we're going to talk about July's medicine. Claire, how are you doing? How's your weather and your crops up there?
Well, it's been a bit of a strange year. Obviously, we had that really nice spell in May, and I think that was basically summer because since then it's just got really cold and really wet. So that's affected, the growth of everything. So yeah, it's been a bit tricky. This past few days has been a wee bit warmer and drier. So yeah, we're getting there. I've just had herbal helpers here at the volunteer session for a week, and of course the weather was not the best, which is typical. And the day everybody left, the sun came out. So, but we still managed to get some tinctures made and things harvested and some weeding done in the garden. So, yeah, it's not been too bad. So, yeah, I've been
Actually,
frantically.
before we kind of launch into July's medicine, do you want to talk a little bit about herbal helpers? Because I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that don't know
Yeah,
that that's something you do. How often is it you do it?
so it's basically a volunteer work exchange that I run 3 times a year. So there's a spring, a summer, and an autumn session. It's for just under a week, and people can come and work in the garden in exchange for learning about the plants and accommodation and food. So it's basically like the formation of a temporary community. So it's usually people that are kind of interested in herbal medicine, learning more about making their own medicines, obviously wanting to experience the garden and learning more about growing herbs in a challenging environment, and wanting to connect with other people that are interested as well. So yeah, it was a really nice week, a lovely group of folk. So I always feel really full of the joys after herbal helpers.
Yes, I know quite a few people that have done it and just loved it. And so they kind of help you make the medicines because you're making so many of your own. I can see behind you there your
That's right.
farm,
Yeah,
pharmacy.
literally, well, you can see all the bottles of tinctures on the shelves here. So a lot of these are ones that I've made myself, but you can also just see behind me here on the drying rack, this is meadowsweet that I've just been harvesting this afternoon. So yeah, so actually that's one of July's herbs, and I did bring along some of the tinctures that we've been making in herbal helpers as well. So this is actually, well, I made this afternoon. If you can see that there, that is a red clover tincture that I've just started off this afternoon. And this is the one that we made just a few days ago at Herbal Helper. So you can see the colour change as the
Wow.
alcohol in the water starts to pull the medicine out of the plant. So
Uh-huh.
that's what we've been doing at Herbal Helpers, is gathering and making these medicines. So it's a really fantastic opportunity for people, to come and learn a bit more about that. And obviously on the
Absolutely.
retreat as well, we do a lot of the medicine making too. So if you are interested in learning a bit more, then Herbal Helpers or one of my courses or the retreats a good place to start.
Well, I was actually saying that about our retreat, and we were talking about how we can expand it. And I mean, our retreat is basically based at people like you and I that love the plants, love the outdoors, love nature, to come along and really embrace that. And obviously, the stuff that I do, letting go. But there's so much valuable information in what we do for people that are quite sick. So that's why I was, thinking maybe we should look at when we're in Skye, when we've got the pop-up healing centre, where people that maybe get more chronic conditions that maybe don't want to jump in the sea and do all the kind of
Yeah.
it's a relatively energetic retreat that we do because it's kind of jam packed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you and I need to discuss how we can utilize these because the way I see it going, having spent quite a lot of time in Aberdeen Royal Infirmary over the last month, and that world that you completely forget exists unless you're visiting somebody, and also the care system. My cousin works on helping people get care up in the Murray area, and everybody, it's just the systems are crumbling in front of us. So there's never been a more important time to learn about wild medicine, to stay
Absolutely.
well,
Yeah.
because the systems are just crumbling in front of us. And I feel sorry for the staff. I don't know how they do it. you know, you and I can kind of dip in and out and do our other things as well, but to be looking after people all the time is really
Yeah,
stressful for you. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
with
It's
and learning about the plants, somebody in the salon asked me about meadowsweet today. I was like, oh, I can remember that one. I'm a vegetarian. So do you want to just start with meadowsweet actually?
Yeah, and it is a good place to start because it is in the July section of Scotland's Wild Medicine. So, yeah, meadowsweet, Queen of the Meadow, or bridewort, Philipendula ulmaria. So this is the plant that aspirin was first discovered from. It was
yes.
first synthesized from willow bark, but it was discovered in meadowsweet. And we all know that aspirin does come with its side effects. So it is a blood thinner, which is what it's sometimes therapeutically prescribed for. But obviously that can lead to kind of problems like, bleeding, bruising. It can also damage the gut and the lining of the stomach and cause things like stomach ulcers. But meadowsweet, because of the presence of tannins in the leaf, actually helps to heal stomach ulcers. So it's one of our most fantastic herbs, native herbs for treating stomach ulcers, digestive upsets, stomach inflammation, gastritis. It's useful for things like hiatus hernia as well, acid reflux, and reflux disorders. So, it's really quite a fantastic toning and nourishing herb for the gut. It also helps with pain and inflammation because of the salicylate content. And it was traditionally used in fever management as well. So it can be used to help bring down the heat of fevers and move the fevers through the body, which does also suggest a slight kind of anti-infective action as well. And the Gaelic name actually translates as Cuchulain's belt, or the waistband of Cuchulain, who was a Celtic warrior. And the story goes that Cuchulain was cured from a terrible fever by having baths in meadowsweet. So it's, yeah, definitely got a
So,
warrior association as well.
so you can pull the properties in via the skin then in a bath.
Yeah, so, as we know, our skin is a semi-permeable membrane. It's not a complete barrier. It does let things in, which is why you should always be really conscious about what you put on your skin, because you will be absorbing some of that into your body. So herbal baths, either your whole body or getting your feet in, as we recommend in the book, or sitz baths where you can use, just the lower part of your body. And if you're wanting to treat, a pelvic condition, you can just make a bath, like a sitz bath that you sit in. It's a really good way of absorbing herbs or taking medication, especially if you want to try and bypass the digestive system.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because my daughter's got long COVID and has been quite unwell, and clearly, things like the kind of aches and pains in the body and the fatigue that a lot of people seem to be experiencing right now. That's a really, really nice way to do it. I just never thought putting meadowsweet into the bath. I'm going to go. The
Absolutely.
canal bank is absolutely laden the whole way down from here to Ardishig, so I'll go and gather some of that tomorrow. Now, and in terms of how long is meadowsweet out for normally? Because this is
Well, again, it'll depend on the season. So it's probably been in flower, just starting to come into flower about a week ago. There's still a lot of it in bud. So if you find a shady, sheltered spot, it's probably still in bud at the moment, depending on whereabouts in the country you are. If you get a lot of hot weather, then it'll flower and be over a bit quicker. But usually you've got a few weeks to kind of harvest it. If you go a bit further south, it's maybe already started flowering a few weeks ago, so it might be a case of you really need to get out and harvest it now. But like I say, it depends on the season, depends on the weather. But usually kind of throughout July, you might even find it into August, again, depending on where you are in the country and what kind of season we've had.
Yeah, when before we go into other ways to preserve it, because that's what I'm thinking now. We need to get some in so that we can preserve it. It's been crazy cold. You know, I was down in Wales last week with the tent box, which I highly recommend. But we were sitting outside at night, you know, like chatting, and Vida said to me, "We're blowing smoke." We were, you know, that's how cold it was. And then we're like, "What temperature is it when you're actually got this, you know, the vapor coming out your mouth and it's 7 degrees?" It was actually went down to 6 degrees at night. I mean, that must have affected all the plants.
Absolutely. So I think what's happened here certainly is, you know, we had this really warm May and things started coming out super early. So I was thinking, oh my goodness, you know, I'm going to be harvesting, you know, well, the hawthorn was out in it was out in April here, which is incredibly. I mean, some months some years I'm harvesting hawthorn in June because it's been a cold spring. It's called the Mayflower, obviously, but this year it was out already in April. And but now that we've had this cold snap, it's slowed everything down. So we're actually getting, you know, the plants that I would be expecting to see in July are starting to come out now because we've had this colder snap that slowed things down. So, you know, we've got valerian in flower just now, the self-heals out, the meadow sweets out, loads of red clover, obviously. So, and I think, you know, the flowers really are out in full bloom at the moment, a lot of the kind of summer flowers. So I think that colder weather has slowed things down and we're getting a wee bit more of an opportunity to harvest stuff.
Right, cool. So in terms of the meadow sweet, so then you could either put it in, make it into tea.
Yep, you can make it into a tea, or you can dry it like I'm doing on the racks here.
Okay.
Or you can dry it in a dehydrator. It actually air dries fairly well if you've got a warm, well ventilated room. Obviously, if it's cold and damp, it's not going to air dry particularly well. You can make it into a tincture. So like I was doing with the red clover, so infusing that into alcohol. You can also make it into an infused oil to use externally for pain and joint pain and muscle pain and things like that as well. And then, of course, you can put it in your bath.
Yes, great stuff. Now, red clover, and let's talk about red clover because I'm seeing it everywhere as well.
Yeah. Well, this is a plant that's really been calling to me this year, actually. And I mean, I've been working with red clover for a lot of years, but it seems to be, you know, you go through these phases where certain plants just jump out at you, you know, for some reason every year. And again, that was another one that I was starting to see in May coming out into flower. And I was thinking, what are you doing? You're too early.
Back down.
Yeah. Wait, don't, I'm not ready for you yet. But she's really been kind of like jumping out and showing themselves. So so red clover, again, this is quite a nice one. It's got quite a long flowering time, so you can pick it and then keep picking it. You'll probably notice in lawns and things like that, if you do cut grass or in parks and things where the grass is cut, you know, once it's cut, it will keep kind of producing flowers. So it's quite a nice one to get multiple harvests of. Again, I've just got this in the dehydrator tonight, so that's drying away as we speak, and then I've made a tincture with it. So tincture, drying for teas, it makes a really nice tea. You can also infuse it with some, you know, you can make like a lemonade with it, make a pink lemonade. That's always a nice way to take it.
And can you just eat it? Would you chop
it
finely?
Yeah, you can just throw it into salads and things like that. And the white clover as well, you can also eat and put into salads. But it's a really fantastic remineralizer. It's got a lot of different nutrients in it, so it's a great one for just having, you know, every day or every few days as a you know, something to add in to give your body that kind of mineral rich boost. It's in the pea family, so it contains compounds called phytoestrogens, which they're kind of similar in structure to human estrogen, and they can help to kind of moderate the effects of hormonal imbalance, particularly for people going through the menopause. So phytoestrogens kind of bind weakly to estrogen receptors within the body, and they just help to kind of ease out those ups and downs associated with fluctuating estrogen levels. And it's also anti-inflammatory to the skin and to the lungs as well. So I'll often use it in eczema, or for coughs and glandular problems. So it's a really great all-rounder to chuck into your salads, or have as a really nice summer herbal tea as well.
So see, when after you've dried it, what do you do with it? Do you powder it down?
So I just store it whole. When it's dried, I'll just dry the flowers and store them whole.
In a jar, in an airtight jar.
In an airtight jar. I'm just having a wee look up here because I've got some herbal teas. So this is, I don't know if you can see that. That's a minerals mix. So you can see that the herbs inside it, there's some red clover here. It's all just whole. So it does kind of, they keep their properties pretty well if you store them whole. So even just, if you want to pick a wee basket full or something like that and dry it, and you can just put it in a jam jar even in your cupboard, in a cool kind of dark place away out of direct sunlight and heat.
What else have you got in that mineral mix?
That one is plantain, dandelion, red clover, horsetail, nettle, and borage.
So all dried, and then just make tea with that.
Just make a tea with it. Yeah. Brilliant. And all of those things. I mean, the borage, obviously, I grow, but the rest of them are all kind of wild that you could easily forage yourself.
Yes, yeah. Oh, there's Vicky. Hi, Vicky. We have more white than red clover here, but it's interesting you said that the red clover's been speaking to you. It's definitely been speaking to me. And I was just, I don't know if you've seen these scissors. My friend down at Faraway Follies had them. They've got like 5 blades.
Oh, yes.
For cutting herbs, I thought that's great, because some of these things, you don't want big chunks of it. You just want little bits. Have you got them?
I don't know.
I've never seen them before. I thought that's a great idea, even for chives and any kind of grassy thing that you don't want big chunks of. Anyway, I digress.
I was going to say about the white clover, you can use that as well, actually. So it does have some medicinal properties. For some reason, the red clover just seems to be used much more commonly now. But the white clover, I mean, if you smell white clover, it's absolutely beautiful. It smells just like honey, actually, and I mean the bees love it as well. So that's probably the nectar that you're smelling. But it is very calming and relaxing. It makes a really nice tea. So that's another one that you can pick and dry and add into your teas and things as well.
There you go, Vicky. And it tends to be whatever's grown in your area is good for you, isn't it? And at the time, etc.
That's it, yeah. And like we always say, getting that diversity into your diet is so key for microbiome health and your health in general. Just getting that diversity in, so important.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the whole thing. It's quality, not quantity. So just, when in this time of year, it's nice to have a little side salad. And, I get most of mine from the garden now, thanks to you.
I'm glad to hear it.
I know, it was great when I was up at the farm the last time with, making, I was cooking for 23 for a week. And I was just out in the forest I was like, this is so cool. Yeah. When the Hunger Games starts, I'm going to be able to still make nice salads.
That's it. Absolutely.
I know. So self-heal, talk about that, because it's a really nice, it's in the book as well. I don't know if it's in July, but it's really easy to recognise, and it's very powerful little beauty too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So that's another one that we've been working with at Herbal Helpers last week. So again, a very common plant of kind of grasslands, meadows, the edges of your lawns, the side of paths. And I've actually got a copy of the book here. So I'll just have a wee...
Well done.
Yeah. I'm just going to show you a picture of it if I can find on my way back. that's too early in the year. But yeah, so self-heal, the key thing to remember, I think, with self-heal is that it has these antiviral properties that research has shown. So it's actually, here's the photo of it here, just to give you
Yes, yeah.
an idea, if everybody can see that, hopefully. Captured with the bees, which obviously really, really love it as well. So research has kind of demonstrated these antiviral properties against herpes simplex and even HIV and HPV viruses as well. So it seems to help. It seems to stop the binding of viruses to our cells. So it's a good kind of preventative. And I feel like self-heal is another one that you would probably want to use, over and over again, really, on a maybe quite regular basis as a preventative. In Chinese medicine, it's used to support the liver and the kidneys. And traditionally it was always used as a wound healer, so internally and externally. So I've used it externally in a wound healing balm, but also internally for things like recovery from surgery, or internal bruising or bleeding. So it really does what it says on the tin, self-heal.
Yes, fantastic. And again, it's very easy to recognize, isn't it? And can you do that? Can you use it similarly to the red clover?
In terms of preparations,
in terms of prep and cutting it into your salads and
yeah, absolutely.
and how you preserve it,
and
and you
make
could put
tincture
it in your bath too.
You could put it in your bath, absolutely. I haven't really used it in a bath, but if you had some kind of skin abrasions or something like that, or external wounds that you wanted to heal, or even internal wounds, just as a kind of energetic thing, would be really beautiful to have a bath with the self-heal in it.
Yes, yeah, I think so. So what else have we got for July? Is that everything that's in the book for July?
The other plant that we have for July in the book is valerian, which is in flower right now. And the reason I included it in July was because, round about the West Highlands and Argyll, valerian and meadowsweet really tend to flower together. They share the same habitat. And I always see valerian and valerian and meadowsweet kind of growing side by side. So traditionally it was the roots that were used, but you can also use the flowers as well. They just have a bit more of a gentle action. So valerian is quite a famous plant. It's obviously used, most people know it for helping with sleep, but it helps to really kind of calm and relax the nervous system down. So it can be helpful for things like just spasms, muscular spasms, which are kind of linked with an overactive nervous system, and it can also help to lower blood pressure as well. If you think about the heart as a muscle, and how it has this electronic control system that's obviously governed by the nervous system. So valerian really helps to just relax and sedate everything down. Yeah, and again, one of its old traditional names was heal all or all heal. So it tells you how kind of widely it was used in the past. I think it was even used for things like epilepsy traditionally as well. So really has that kind of calming effect on the nervous system.
And sleep, as we're always banging on to our clients, that sleep is obviously so important especially for people with long-term, chronic conditions, the quality of sleep, so that the body gets a chance to A, heal, and B, detox the way it should. So what would you say, are the flowers the best, or would you differentiate between the different parts of it?
Yeah, so I would say that the root is probably more sedating. The flowers probably have a bit more of a gentle action. So valerian it's a funny old plant, because for some people, because it's actually quite heating energetically, it can actually cause a wee bit of like hyperactivity in some susceptible people. So it's one of those plants that you really have to pick your person with. So I would say, if you're going to try it for the first time, maybe just try a small amount and don't take it too close to bedtime. See how it affects you during the day. You might have to have an afternoon nap, but
Yes.
say you don't want to take it before bed and then realize you're one of the people that it actually makes them more hyper. Yes, exactly. So that's the one thing to be cautious with valerian. But I would say in general the root tends to be a bit stronger, more stating.
So Marion's there. Hi, Marion. Is it self-heal you'd never seen before? Would it be as common up? She's up near Cairngorm National Park.
Yeah, I think you'll still find it up there. It's pretty widespread, pretty common. As long as you've got kind of grassland, meadow, like I say, the edges of paths, lawns. It's a really, really common plant. So I can't imagine that you wouldn't find it up there.
Yeah, because even when I was down in Wales, I was pointing out to my friends saying, get that into your salads. Grace is saying, I have a serious skin allergy. I've just joined this link. Is there a book? Yes, Grace. Scotland's Wild Medicine is the book. And Clare is a medical herbalist who did all the fascinating stuff about the plants. So you should already have the book. But if you don't have, you can just go into one of our sites and get it. And you can also go back to the start of this. You'll be able to watch the replay and get all the information that you need. So I think let's talk a little bit about Loch Allen, and obviously your medicine garden is right there. So that obviously for the next retreat, which starts on the 31st of October till the 4th of November. So we'll be going obviously into the slightly darker times and heading, although I really actually like that time of year. It's kind of late autumn, and we've had really nice weather, haven't we? And obviously the great thing about where the base camp is at the beach, the sandy beach is like right in front of it. So from my side of the 5 elements, we're obviously in July is a great time to start, getting your shoes off. I know it's a really simple, ancient thing that we just naturally did as a kid, but it's something that maybe you need to think about. If you've got a garden, if you're lucky enough, if you're in the park, just get your shoes off and get grounding and get that energy flowing through the body. We're doing our challenge this month is a Dukkha day, which I've had to take on board myself because I'd got super lazy. And it's been really good, because I'm like, you can't run a challenge and not do it yourself. So it's been great getting in again and looking for nice places, and it's such a good time of year to start really with the 5 elements, and also obviously the trees. Hopefully over the next few weeks it'll be dry enough and warm enough to really be in the forest. If you can do your breathing in the forest, we know that the adrenaline within 15 minutes starts to decrease a significant amount, usually 10 to 12% in 15 minutes, which if you just breathe and not walking, not running, not doing any exercise, just being there in the forest, the phytoncides that interact with that magnificent breathing apparatus that we have, and how even the smell of the forest, etc., just interacts. Bird song has, they're saying, is now is they can measure the phenomenal positive impact that has on your nervous system. Although if you're my friend, she's shouting, "Listen to these birds! They're waking me up in the morning." I'm like, they're calming your nervous system. Well, they're maybe not calming yours. Bloody seagulls. So maybe go in when you're awake to the forest, and just, or if you find somebody who's forest bathing in your area, because more and more people are taken to nature. I mean, the stuff that we're teaching, it's popping up everywhere. So it's really nice that you can find these things in your community. But again, the science is clear how our body and how our cells interact with the external environment positively and negatively. So this is a great time of year to start when it's not, well, it's not meant to be too severe temperatures.
Yeah.
So I think that's really us covered for July's wild medicine. Have you got anything else you want to add in? If people want to come and volunteer for Herbal Helpers, I know you've often got a waiting list. They could just
Yeah.
email your message you on Insta.
Yeah, just email. So if you email me, Clare Houlihan at hotmail.co.uk, or as you say, message West Highland Herbal on Facebook or Instagram, then I can put you on the list. We, like I say, I am full for this year with a waiting list, but places do come up, so you never know. I do have quite a waiting list for autumn, right enough. But you can always register your interest, and I can put you on for next year as well. The dates are not yet carved in stone for that.
Yeah, well,
But yeah,
things come up, don't they? So it's worth getting your name down and finding out the dates anyway, because obviously that's the big thing, is
yeah,
to make sure you definitely can come in these dates. So
that's it.
unless anybody's got any more questions, I think that's a good amount of time to be going on about Scotland's wild medicine, Grace. Oh, you've got the book, Grace. Brilliant. Well, you just go in there, all that information is there. And if you can go back and listen to this, Clare was talking about how you can put these things into the bath and how you can make tinctures and teas, which are really super, super easy way. So with like the red clover and self-heal, you can dry them and then keep them, and then you've got a supply. So it really is a case of going out and foraging the stuff, and then if you've got a dehydrator, some people as well say you can just leave your oven door open, have it on at like 100. And would you not do that?
Yeah, I mean, you can do that with some things. Ovens are obviously designed to cook rather than dry. So for some of the more delicate herbs, it's a bit too much. But it is, it's one way of doing it. I would say, I mean, usually with the aromatics, I would tend to dry them right down at 25, 30 degrees. So it's quite, 100 degrees or 80 degrees in an oven is quite high. That works fine for things like drying mushrooms, or maybe things that are a bit more fleshy and not so aromatic. So things like maybe borage or comfrey, seaweeds, some leafy
Yes.
vegetables and
Yeah,
things
yeah,
like
yeah. Mhm.
that. Using a cool oven with the door open, that's not too bad. But yeah, there's many ways. Sometimes it's just finding a space in your house or in your kitchen that works. But there is also, if you do have the book, there is a whole section on drying and how to dry herbs in there. So yeah, you can just refer to that.
Read the book.
Read the book. Send the book.
Marion, we're at Lynbreck the last weekend of July. I saw the girls posted today. They've been really disappointed with. They were hoping to sell some of the food out their club, but it looks like it's not going to happen. I don't know if you saw the post, and it is so disappointing, that
Yeah.
and that's just the harsh reality, isn't it?
About the weather, I'm kind of hoping that things are going to improve from here on out. But yeah, it's really tricky, and it is a lesson for sure. And I have, Lilia, your words ringing in my ears about the garden, because you do start to, when you put all that work and effort in, you don't really get much in return. You do have to just work on letting go of that. And I definitely have spent a few days being raging about it, and then like, well,
I
what's
know, yes.
the only person that's affecting is me, so I
Hit
just have to
yourself in the
let
head with a spoon.
yeah. I'm like, well, I can always forage.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I've noticed it even up at Barmall, what observing the seasons and how different it is. And I mean, we're lucky at the moment that you're not going to starve. We do have shops, we can
Yeah.
get other things, but yeah, you can see it must be really, if you're trying to feed a lot of people with what's coming from the land and the weather. doesn't play. And you would imagine with, polycrubs that you would be able to get something. My friend was
Yeah.
over from India, that he's started the aquaponics in the Maldives. And he was saying that, wow, they have been problem solving because the temperature's way higher there than usual. And then there's the humidity and the insects. And so what they're doing is actually changing what they're growing into more of the fruiting things, tomatoes and peppers and berries, because in actual fact, it lends itself more to that the conditions. And obviously
Yeah.
having to cool the water to it was really interesting actually. I mean, he knew it was going to be challenging, but I think that's just the thing when you grow food, and the weather just literally been so crazy. We were in swimming up in Lossiemouth and came out, and honestly, it was like January. It was
Yeah.
absolutely biting, icy wind. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what can
Barely
we
out
do?
of the first, but not much you can do about the weather. We just have to.
I
That's
know.
what. Some
We have
things you
to
can
roll with
change,
it
some
and
things you
let
can't.
it
Hey?
go. Well, listen, Vicky's saying that we make her smile. That's nice, Vicky. Look forward to seeing you in October. So yeah, so the Loch Allen, that's our next retreat, and we're looking at maybe something at the Hebridean pop-up healing centre, and we have you get your own private room, ensuite private room. We have the beach right there in our doorstep, and we've got lots of beautiful places we can go, and we just pretty much wing it with the weather, don't we, and see how everybody is. So listen, Anne, it's lovely to see you, and I will chat to you very soon. We'll be
Yeah,
back in
everybody
August.
in August.
Time is just going like this. I'm like, what?
I know.
What date is
Because
it?
we're all waiting for summer.
Patiently waiting. And I think just to talk for people that are suffering from fatigue and fibromyalgia and the kind of long COVID it's getting called now. It's a post-viral thing, and and obviously I think a lot of people have had a lot of stress due to all the stuff that's happened over the last few years. So I think July is a really good time for you to be able to start foraging and start putting some of that wild medicine, start creating the habit, understanding that whatever is made in a laboratory is coming in part from nature anyway, and Mother Nature knows best. And all that valuable and powerful information you can get in our book. So that's fantastic. Okay, I'll talk to you really soon. Hopefully, get up for a visit before the retreat, but I'll let you know.
Great. See
Okay,
everybody
okay.
next, if not before.
Night, night, everyone. Ciao.